So perhaps the most intriguing part of the new trailer we got for Doctor Who's 6th anniversary specials was the very last shot, which was yet another glimpse of Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. Now, in terms of the facts, we know that the 15th Doctor's era is meant to be beginning, properly, officially, in earnest at Christmas with this year's Christmas special, and then obviously next year's Series 14 as well, it's his first full series. But we also know he's going to be appearing before that as well, in some form or another, in these anniversary specials. We've known that basically since the start, since we got that very first trailer after Power of the Doctor, and there was that final shot then as well in that trailer of Ncuti in some undisclosed location. The clouds and stuff we got in the background were apparently like a placeholder thing to hide some secret location, because revealing the actual place would have given something away. And in that case, obviously we heard him saying that now immortal line, someone tell me what the hell is going on here. We saw him in like a white shirt and what appeared to be, basically the 14th Doctor's outfit, minus the coat, minus the waistcoat, obviously with the shirt, and then with what appears to be his tie as well, but sort of unravelled, untied, just kind of hanging loosely around his neck. The implication there, and I think what they wanted us to think, off the back of that, was that that was a shot taken, right from the end of Special 3, from the Regeneration sequence, and that was kind of Ncuti's first scene at the end of the specials, once David's Doctor, once the 14th Doctor had bowed out and regenerated into him, and that was it. So there's nothing more to it than that. It was just a simple case of them showing us a bit of footage, right from the end of the specials in advance. But fans weren't really buying that. There was quite a lot of kind of feeling and speculation that Ncuti was probably making a bigger appearance in these specials than was first thought, and then the production team were making out. And the shot we got in Saturday's trailer would appear to kind of confirm this theory, because basically we've got Ncuti once again against yet another sort of vague, blurred background, which could be anywhere. It could be another placeholder, once again, we don't know. But it does appear to be a different location, unless of course this is the location that they were blurring out and hiding in the first place. And he's also wearing a different costume. Now, we know that the 15th Doctor is the Doctor of many costumes, but even so, this seems a bit peculiar. He's not even making his full appearance until the Christmas special, supposedly, and yet we've been shown two different shots of him wearing two different costumes from the 60th, and we're kind of just meant to believe that they're both from like the Regeneration scene. I don't think anyone's really buying that now. I think it's pretty much a given that he has got a bigger role to play in these episodes than we know about. And there are a couple of pretty convincing theories about what his involvement in the episodes might be, and that's what I'm going to be discussing today. So first of all, let's just think about other cases, previous cases in the past, where a future Doctor has shown up before the current Doctor has regenerated into them. So, most recent kind of examples that spring to mind there are things like, Peter Capaldi in Day of the Doctor, where his eyebrows showed up. A brief shot of him, brief shot of the 12th Doctor, of his eyes, his eyebrows. Just a little kind of inclusion there where the 12th Doctor was being called upon by the other selves to help save Gallifrey. Obviously, Peter Capaldi is a particularly special case because, of course, he's one of the few actors that appeared in the show as a different character as well before landing the role of the Doctor. So obviously he was in Fires of Pompeii, a similar thing with Colin Baker in Arc of Infinity. And then also in his first episode, we had a similar sort of thing in reverse where Matt Smith kind of gate-crashed his first episode in the same way that he kind of gate-crashed one of Matt Smith's final stories. We had that scene where the 11th Doctor was on the phone to Clara, and yes, he wasn't still the Doctor was now Peter Capaldi, now the 12th Doctor, but they still found a way to include him in the story. So that's the backdrop for the ideas and theories that I'm about to discuss. But we have had some precedent in the past for similar-ish sort of things happening, but nothing quite like this, if it is what we think it is. So the most popular theory goes something along the lines of Ncuti appearing in all three specials in some sort of side plots where the 15th Doctor has basically been kind of held captive or he's been held back somewhere. It kind of links to the whole idea of the 13th Doctor's generation and that going wrong, basically, and the Toymaker having some hand in events, obviously, as well, why, the 13th Doctor's clothes also regenerated with her, for the first time since the first Doctor back in 1966, obviously the same kind of year that the Toymaker was on our screens. It does seem pretty likely to me there's going to be something made of that in some way or another. So according to this theory, Jodie was meant to regenerate into Ncuti, and David Tennant's Doctor is kind of like an aberration or something. The Toymaker basically got his grubby mitts on things and kind of interfered and put David Tennant's Doctor in there between them as like a spanner in the works, and that's why Ncuti's Doctor is kind of being held back. And this also kind of plays into the idea of the Edge from Power of the Doctor as well. So a kind of linked theory sort of says that Ncuti is maybe being held in the Edge, or that's how he's going to appear, be it either in reality itself, in some location where the Toymaker's got him captive, or in the Doctor's kind of subconscious in their mind, where, once again, we're seeing this dialogue play out between the Doctor's former selves and their current self, and possibly future self as well. Now with this, I can't quite work out where I stand with it. I think on the one hand it does sound pretty conceivable. I also think it sounds like something that a fan would just kind of come up with by themselves rather than something that the show would actually go ahead with and commit to. But hey, I do think that in light of this shot we got at the weekend in the trailer, it is starting to sound a little bit more likely, because this setting where we see the 15th Doctor, like I say, assuming it is the actual setting and not just another placeholder, but this kind of orange-tinged, sunsetty sort of background could very easily be, one of two things. So it could be the Edge, like I've talked about, as we saw in the Power of the Doctor, this space inside the Doctor's mind, this kind of visual representation of their consciousness, and yes, this does look, on the surface, fairly similar to that. But I think it looks even more like the actual location that we saw the 13th Doctor regenerate at, which lots of other people have kind of talked about as well, and brought up, this idea that this shot could come from some sort of revised version of that regeneration sequence, where everything's been reset and the 14th Doctor has been taken out of the equation. Whatever the Toymaker did to interfere has been sourced out and solved, and we get to see this revised version of the scene where the 13th Doctor instead regenerates into Ncuti. And the plot does actually thicken, because if you listen very, very carefully when this shot is played at the end of the trailer, the sound effects being played alongside it appear to be taken directly from the 13th Doctor's regeneration scene. And I saw people kind of pointing this out, and I was kind of thinking to myself, oh yeah, okay, maybe. I wasn't quite buying it, but I have gone back and listened since, to this, and then to the regeneration side by side, and yes, it does appear to be the same sound effects, at least to my ear. There's a few different sound effects there, kind of generic regeneration ones that do match up, and most intriguingly of all, there's like a gasp that Jodie does when she's regenerating, which I'd seen people mention online. I'd seen them say, oh yeah, you can actually hear her in this kind of sound effects segments, and I was like, oh yeah, of course you can. Really? But yeah, you can. It is very, very strange. If you listen very, very closely, you can hear this sound that she makes both in the original scene and then in this clip as well. So I am now of the opinion that there could be something in this. I've been kind of converted. I think, yeah, that it seems far too specific to reuse that sound effect, to have the kind of orange background here. They know what they're doing. They know what they want us to think. And I suppose it's just a case of whether they are trolling us and deliberately kind of misleading us, or whether there is something in it and this is actually going to transpire on screen. I think there's a fairly good chance that it could do, but I suppose I'll have to wait and see. I mean, it doesn't explain the whole costume thing, I will say. Even if this is some kind of redux version of Jodie's regeneration scene, why is he wearing two costumes in the same scene? Like the white shirt costume and it's kind of like purple shirt costume. What is that all about? Like, we know that he likes his fashion, we know he likes his outfits, but I'm not quite sure why he'd be wearing two in the space of the same scene, unless he's like trying on new outfits and maybe he kind of finds his proper outfits at the end. I'm saying that he had loads of outfits, but like the outfit for Christmas or the outfit for Series 14, maybe he like arrives at that having tried on loads of other stuff. Another idea that I had, that I think I have mentioned in previous videos, is the idea that Ncuti could be appearing as a different character in the specials. So going back to the whole thing of Peter Capaldi appearing, obviously, as that dude in Fires of Pompeii, what if Ncuti, the 15th Doctor, is, to begin with, some innocent human, or maybe not so innocent, maybe like someone really important who proves to be like a really influential character in the Doctor's life, and we meet them in the specials and we spend time with them, and the Doctor spends time with them, and maybe they sacrifice themselves, for example, to save the world or something. And then when the 14th Doctor eventually regenerates, he decides he's going to model his next face on that person. And if by some random chance that did end up being true, then maybe what we've seen in these trailers, these two shots, aren't actually of the Doctor at all, but of some other character. I think that'd be a really kind of genius way to show us Ncuti without showing us the 15th Doctor. Now, it's probably just a load of rubbish, it's probably me making stuff up, but you never know. It would be quite a cool idea, I think, for them to do. I don't know whether they would do something like that or not, but yeah, like I say, nothing is off the table here. So I think that just about covers the main theories and explanations kind of going around for why Ncuti is in these specials and how he's in these specials, and what's going on here with this second shot with the orange background, with the reused sound effects and stuff. Yeah, I think it does kind of make for a very compelling sort of argument, a very compelling theory, this whole thing about the regeneration, and it wouldn't be impossible for them to do this. It would be quite a nice way to include Jodie in the specials by having this flashback to that scene from the end of Power of the Doctor, and then this kind of alternate ending almost for that, where she regenerates into Ncuti instead. And given that the two halves of the original regeneration scene were shot at different times, in different locations, in different studios, by different production teams and stuff, it wouldn't be impossible for them to kind of mock up this other alternate ending to that scene. So it is definitely possible. I think it's possible, but what do you think? Do you think this theory has legs, or do you think it's a load of rubbish? Do you have any other ideas about how Ncuti might be appearing in the specials, about, what the hell is going on here, how he's got these two outfits, where these mysterious locations that have been glimpsed are? Whatever your thoughts, please make them known down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more stuff like this in the future. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.